Thank you very much, Madam President. Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, our world faces one of the most severe humanitarian challenges. Over 120 armed conflicts are active worldwide, displacing more than 122 million people and leaving 310 million in need of urgent humanitarian assistance. Yet the world's attention is only limited to a few, 2, 3, or perhaps 5 conflicts that dominate the headlines of the global media. Our people ignore the drama that the rest of the world faces. The silent suffering of millions of people elsewhere remains as unseen. In some countries, people live in prosperity. In others, they simply strive to live. In the face of this unjust and fragile reality, we parliamentarians must act. The Geneva Conventions, the additional protocols, and the Convention of the Rights of the Child are not just aspirational texts. They are binding treaties, and most of them are jus cogens, reflecting universally binding principles of international law. UN Security Council resolutions that condemn unlawful attacks, grave breaches of international humanitarian law, and the war crimes are equally binding. Moreover, numerous UN General Assembly and IPU resolutions guide us toward the collective action we must take in response to such violations of the UN charters and our own resolutions and our global laws. Greece, my country, as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, stands firmly for the implementation of public international, including humanitarian law, and for the pursuit of a just society. Greece is also ready to actively participate in the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. But this is not only the UN and the intergovernmental organizations to take action. It is also us, our Assembly, under the IPU, representing the entire political spectrum in our countries, not only the majority, but the whole of our populations. Our voice, when united, carries immense power. If we all call together for the end of the atrocities and the violations of humanitarian law, we will be heard. We must employ the means of preventive diplomacy, deploy fast-acting missions, and use our national parliamentary platforms to call for ceasefire and dialogue. By joint actions, we could have results. We are the guardians of our nation's legal orders and the guarantors of their alignment with international obligations. Let's ratify the humanitarian agreements if some of us have not ratified them yet. Let's exercise parliamentary oversight to ensure that our governments do respect these international instruments in practice. Let's advocate for accountability mechanisms, peace and nation-building action, and the protection of humanitarian access. For the 21st century, we have the political means and the collective intelligence to end atrocities, to stop conflicts, and to restore peace, democracy, and prosperity for our people. At the same time, we must bridge the humanitarian and environmental agendas. Let's also promote innovative financial mechanisms, such as the climate humanitarian bonds, resilient funds, and more private-public partnerships. The humanitarian funding gap remains vast. Over $56 billion is required annually, yet less than half is currently secured. The climate finance gap exceeds $6 billion per year if we are able to reach net zero by 2030. We must also mobilize at least $15 billion per year for ocean action to restore our seas. Let's save our people from the humanitarian, environmental, and climate crisis that can all of them be equally fierce due to droughts, wildfires and floods, and other extreme weather events that intensify displacement and conflict, testing the limits of humanitarian response and food security. Our legislative frameworks must therefore integrate environmental protection, disaster risk reduction, and human security goals. Dear colleagues, we are part of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, the world's most inclusive multilateral forum, uniting more than 46,000 parliamentarians from 180 national parliaments, representing more than 8 million people. We are the global political community that can save the course of history. Let's do it together. Thank you.